Welcome to my story, episode 3, which is your story, which is what you choose, which is actually part of the story you choose to be in this story or not. Well, this is the story as I created it. In fact, it's a multitude of stories, but it's just one of my first best iterations of it. So back in 2005, we imagined a conspiracy for the world to buy itself a new future, where the good buy the evil, will buy them out, and basically we become one world enterprise together. Long story short, I became the prophet of prophets and the prophet of prophets when I asked the value of justice and peace on earth. What is it worth? What could we do with it? What could we do with a world enterprise owned and operated by all of the people of the planet with a single connected monetary system of virtual money? Directly connected to everybody with a virtual account into our enterprise, interrupting all the intermediaries and disintermediating them all. Again, this is the future. But let's not think about money in its old form. We need to think about the future of money and what money really represents. And represents value. But let's talk about value. Would the value be of peace on earth? If I could just promise you 100 years, actually I could probably prove to you that just 10 years is 100 years, and 100 years is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is 1,000,000 years, and 1,000,000 years in principle. You don't need to count much more than that to count up a lot of value. We can easily say a world transformed into a better place is worth 3 times. It's worth 5 times. It's worth 90 times its value easily. It depends on the space-time of your money in terms of marking to market of what net present value are you marking your current value to, and what value will we have in the future? And then what value does a new future unleashed to create the best future that we can create and imagine together? And that's where, in my enterprise, movies become a key revenue stream. And, everybody's in the movie, because in this future, the entire future is part of a new reality movie, and so everybody's a star. And here's the interesting thing. Because we're syndicating it, look at your stars. They depreciate. Your stars depreciate. Look at the values of your black and white stars. Nobody even pays for them anymore, except I Love Lucy. They're almost in public domain. And then you say, okay, what's the value of your stars? Whatever it is, in a future we syndicate for 100, 1,000 years, those stars are 1,000 and 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000 times brighter. And guess what? All of their possessions, and by the way, stars are extended now, because all of your reality characters, your presidents, your feds, Greenspans, your enterprise guys, your business guys are now stars for the future of Earth. All of a sudden, our star system expands. And what expands with that system? Wealth. And what expands with that wealth? Well, charity, it comes with the territory, at least with the card system anyway. And then what expands with that territory? Well, more people get more wealth. But guess what happens to all of their valuable possessions? They become priceless. All of a sudden, those things that were once owned by Steve Jobs in 1,000 years are priceless now, because he was one of the founding fathers of future Earth. And so the story goes from star to star, from star system to star system. Anyway, stars are infinite. So let's get to money. What is money? What is this illusion, guys, money? Well, what's important about money is the value it creates. And the value it creates is sort of a complex system. But the important thing is, you see, it's like getting innovations, and those innovations, like, make our lifestyles better. At one point in time, we had no toilets. Before toilets, some people still have no toilets, which is actually part of the other story. We need to bring standards of innovation and standards of living, basic standards of living, to the poorest of our human beings. What would be wrong if, for example, the half of the population living on less than $2 a day automatically got money in their bank account for their retirement fund? Hey, could we afford to give them $1, $2 a day, and just hope that that money trickled up, or at least provided the safety net without the corruption of politicians? Because, as I said in my previous one, we take it directly, electronically, and distribute it to their accounts. We don't have intermediaries taking the money and scooping it off and saying, I get a card. It goes directly in their accounts. Okay, so here's the thing. Now we go from there and we say, what is the value of this money? But see, it's what we get for it. Now, imagine the world which we talked about, which we took all of our technologies, all of our enterprises, all of our processes, and started to say, listen, we don't have to do it the old way. We don't have to have warring technologies and IP technologies. We own all our intellectual property. We're going to pool it. We're going to figure out a way where create our own enterprises within our enterprises that compete with each other. At the end of the day, we have better solutions, smaller numbers of better solutions, and we only provide our citizens the best solutions, and then we do it in volume. We do it in volume in competitive enterprises, but we do it in volume, we do it right. And we keep doing it faster and cheaper and faster. And guess what? As we do it faster and cheaper, the value of what we deliver to the consumer gets greater. So even if your wealth was at the steady state of where it is today, if we can advance the technologies and the innovations, well, and advance the rate of change, even beyond where it's today, and you're at roadblocks created by our own economic, well, instability and your economic malaise. Well, if we could get that malaise out of the way and interview and innovate at the speed of our minds, connected across nations, across all our enterprises, not worrying about China and Russia. No, we have to merge our enterprises together, all of our enterprises worth, into a common enterprise to deliver the value of things to people, and to create standards for people, and community standards, of course, but what are those standards? We can create them together because we have the power of writing our own story of our own future together. And so then you say, how do you write that story? What is the way you do that story? Well, this is history, because, okay, this is like, I don't know. Yes, I do. I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna guess. This is what I guessed. I don't know if I guessed right away, but I've guessed overnight, all over time. Over many nights of time. Okay, so the story is this, is that eventually the story gets out. The simplicity of creating this order. The story gets so logically, I could actually sort of show you the math behind it, but let's not get to it, because I might get crazy with some of the numbers, 0, 1, pi, and stuff like that. But if you get to the story of the history of the future of us, it's his story, and you could say it's biblical, it's God's, but it's our story, because God's story is our story. And even if you're an atheist, if this story makes economic sense, if this is your best story, well, then you gotta think about things and you say, okay, well, I don't know. It's the Pope of the atheist story. Anyway, the point is, it's logical. Dr. Spock, logical. If we can create a better future for our planet by writing a new future together and recreating our enterprise, why not do it, just do it. You've heard that, right, Nike? Just do it. Anyway, sorry to use your brand. Anyway, but you see, when we create a story, you wouldn't bring down brands, you build them up. And that's why the people need to buy out the brands and then turn them Chinese. But see, to turn them Chinese, the Chinese need to own the brands. So when the Chinese own the brands, and the Russians own the brands, and the Indians own the brands, and the Americans sell out pieces of their brands for pieces of, well, Russia's oils and other things the consumer markets we're looking at. Well, let's just say there's a huge future we can all benefit together by delivering better products, cheaper and faster, and innovating faster and delivering better standards of living without even creating any more of this funny thing you call money. But the thing is this: when you create this better world together, the rich immediately get richer. In fact, this movie gets so big because we have giant woodstocks that we can create, and we can charge the expenses of these giant woodstocks off as like movies that we can syndicate for the future world. So imagine like American Idols on steroids, where you have giant celebrations every month, every quarter, where you pick it, and we go to places, and we bring out the rich and famous from all over the world, and we interact, and we create a movie of, well, innovating and communicating and, well, being good to each other and understanding each other and, well, building a better future together. And so imagine the whole world connected, where our enterprise was all dedicated to a common enterprise of us, recognizing that no one would have to lose if we can build a bigger pie. That would be the principle. No one have to lose. Somehow the dark side might have to lose the source of income, but let's retire them out, buy them out. Because see, if we own the dark side and the light side, we can turn the dark side grey. But the important thing is, we are now programming ourselves using this devil you call TV and the internet, and it's a wild, wild west. And what we need to do is tame it. Not eliminate freedoms, but tame it. If somebody wants to go into a wild, wild west, let's have a wild, wild west. But let's have a place where your children can be secure, where you can be secure, where the information you receive is the best information you get, where you're not having to like push buttons and say, I agree with the contract to use a stupid application, where the needs of your applications were coming to you, where your computers were computing to you. You weren't computing to your computers were computing to people, where your computers look like people, where your computers guided you like people. That's a future that you just have a hard time imagining. But imagine a real-time Google Earth with real-time, virtual time, space-time of a current reality forward and then backward through time of captured reality. And the ability to take any person in their time and instantiate them into artificial intelligence and have the best of what they know come to you, integrated with the best minds of all time, of all creation. We could create a power of intelligence to strain ourselves and educate ourselves beyond which we could even imagine in our schools. And that's what happens here, because even your school systems will be disintermediated by the technology to deliver information and training and knowledge at a faster pace and at a better standard than you could deliver today. So that means lots of change in process, lots of change in jobs. And that's why as we eliminate jobs, we create dividend income and make everybody honest of a bright future for a bright, bright planet, the planet Earth. Thank you. I look forward to our next episode.